Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, December 14th, and we have a couple of things we need to do. We need to get 3 victories with either the Shaman or Warlock. We're going to try the Warlock and play some spells. We're on the European account. I'd like to get this done relatively quickly and then move over to the Asian account and wrap this up, because we really don't have a ton of we really don't have a ton of video games to talk about. So like not too much has come out. Let's see, let's trade out these cards. Technically trying to win, so I want to actually play well. First game we have for today to look at, the quest for Moes. I assume it's Moes and not Moes by the animation style. It looks like it's just kind of a poorly drawn platformer of some sort. Not really interesting. Early access and 79 cents discounted. Like, seriously, I think early access is the bigger issue with games on Steam right now. If we could severely reduce the number of games that are allowed on Steam with the early access tag, I think that would be very helpful. You could limit that to AAA developers or developers who have published a finished product on Steam in the first place. The way, like, I would never really want to give props to YouTube, but the way that YouTube locks out some features based on how successful you've been in the past probably would work relatively well for Steam too. Like, so if you couldn't publish a game for higher than a certain price unless you had a certain number of like followers. I don't know how you'd get followers on Steam though. That would be kind of crazy. That's probably a bad idea, honestly. But if you could just not use the early access tag until you've published something else, that would be helpful too. That might force some people who are half thinking their game could be a finished product and good into realizing, well, then I need to actually have a finished product and make it look good first. Let's see. What do I want to do? Just keep playing, I guess. Want to risk it? I'm just gonna hold on to it. We have a game on Steam talking about early access called Candy Venture, which kinda looks like it's an attempt at like a Super Mario Brothers game by somebody who has no ability to animate anything. And it's got that Christmas feel to it with the candy. $4.99 undiscounted though. It looks like garbage stuff. Like, sometimes my criticism really has just boiled down to it looks like garbage in a lot of these cases. It's just bad. The graphics don't look good.
Your magic shall not save you.
So yeah, that's not making it to the follow list. Let's see. Next we have a game called Glad Valka's Defense Tower Defense? I have no idea what this is or who that name is. This looks to me like it's a troll game though, so $1.39 discounted. Even if it's not a troll game, it still looks like garbage. Just really bad, really slow moving too.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Interesting, we have two stories here revolving around Riot Games, and it seems like they're not related at all. An interesting twist. Okay. Do this. Do this. And I guess I'll have to play one of these. Do that. So GameIndustry.biz has an article. Minecraft modders form Hypixel Studios. That's Hypixel. Riot Games and former Blizzard exec Rob Pardo among the initial investors as new developer announces debut title. So a team of community modders from Minecraft have banded together to form a fully fledged game studio. It would be interesting if, like, well, there's at least a couple of people that are smart enough to make video games. Seth Bling, I think the other one I'm thinking of was a lesser known guy. Seth Bling hasn't done anything on YouTube in a long time. That being said, there's also a lot of people on that are Minecraft streamers, perhaps myself included, because I did stream Minecraft every now and then, or in the old days I made some Minecraft videos. There's a lot of people that think they could probably program but are missing some basics that would actually make that less likely to be a good idea. Continuing with the article, Hypixel Studio is a new company from the team behind the Hypixel server network, one of the most popular independent Minecraft servers. The developer was founded with the help of an investment group that includes Riot Games and the ex-Blizzard exec Rob Pardo, Pardo's fellow Bonfire co-founder Min Kim, pro gamer Dennis Thresh Fong, university professor Anthony Borquez, and investors Peter Levin and Jeff Lowe. Let's see.
Free me.
Should have drawn a card first. Ah, this will still work.
Mushroom power.
Let's see. Some of these investors have formed an advisory group to guide the studio forward. Hypixel is already hard working on its first project, Hytale, Hytale. This will be a sandbox role-playing game complemented by mini-games platform, a variety of accessible tools enabling users to create and customize their own content for the game. So, I certainly heard some Minecraft streamers that wanted to do stuff like that. That Minecraft as it was not serving the needs of what they were interested in doing. And they were basically making their own games, or at least they thought in their own head they were basically making their own game, just using Minecraft as a tool. And you know, if you're just going to use Unity asset flips, you could probably make a Unity game that looks a lot like Minecraft and does a lot of things like Minecraft without having to stick with the latest version of Minecraft itself, or stick with specific rules in Minecraft if you need them to be different. There's a quote here: "Founding Hypixel Studios was a huge step forward for our team, and it wouldn't have been possible without the support of Riot Games and an advisory group of investors," says the founder Simon Collins LaFlame. There must not be too many names that they want to put out as members or people working at this company, because is not getting listed at all. The article concludes, quote, "We feel very lucky to have built relationships that not only fund the development of Hytale, but provide us with insight and advice that will be instrumental in making Hytale as good as possible it can be." Okay, well, what's weird here is it was like 2 or 3 years ago I was hearing Minecrafters talk about the idea of starting their own video game development company. So 2 or 3 years ago, it might have made a lot more sense than it does now. There might be a pretty big difference there. Wind Fury. +1/+1. And what else we're gonna do? We're gonna play this, and we're gonna freeze you, and we're gonna return. Moving on, Gametro has an article. Fighting EX Layer next free character DLC launches in the late March 2019. The character's named Sharon. She seems to have a lot of cleavage showing with a generous, I would say, F's or G size busts, and she seems to be holding a futuristic gun. She's wearing a velvet red dress with slits on the sides and white fluff on the side, so it's very Santa Claus-ish in its look. Let's see. Fury. Stealth until next turn? Sure.
I'll get round on you.
Draw some more cards. Sharon has some messy, short red hair going over half of her face. From this picture. The thing I wanted to mention about this is that I'm not really sure when Fighting EX Later came out. Like, so, but it must have been a while ago, certainly. Like, this isn't.
Unleash me.
This isn't really the newest of the fighting games, of the many fighting games to come out. So they're once again supporting their software, which serves as a good contrast to what Street Fighter is doing, which is putting ads into their software. Like, I don't really have a system, but I'm gonna have to figure something out, I guess. I need to figure out a system to go back and remove games from the wishlist, because I think at this point Street Fighter V is no longer in contention. Like, not with those ads, not with that greed. So yeah, but I don't have a real way to go through all of the wish list and remove other things. All I could do is go back and look at the wish list and see the games that are rated particularly poorly, so I'd have to rely on people review bombing Street Fighter V, which they probably are doing, and then using that feedback as a reason to look at the game the second time. And there is definitely a chance that I will not remember in a few months that Street Fighter V did put in those microtransactions. Let's do that. Let's Let's see. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Warzone Flashpoint. It looks like a top-down real-time strategy game. While I would be willing to play a real-time strategy game, I'm limiting my willingness to play these to the big ticket ones. StarCraft, the old school Warcraft, Ages of Empires. Ages of Empires might be the winner in that contention because I'm not sure I really want to support Activision Blizzard and play the old StarCraft games, even though they were very good. Warzone Flashpoint is free to play, but yeah, no reason for it to go to my follow list. Alright. How are we gonna do this? We can hope. If I do this, there's a chance this won't drop. There was a chance.
Your magic shall not save you.
I didn't even do that at all. I could have done. I could have just left it alone. Alright, this next game I definitely cannot show you, unfortunately. There's a game on Steam called Happy Toys, which is tagged with nudity but not sexual content, which I think is completely inaccurate because the very first image on the video is two anime girls showing their behinds in underwear. I am not 100% sure what the game is. It seems like you have a feather and you're just writing on the pictures of the anime girls, and then there's some slide puzzle stuff too, and it kind of seems like that's all it is. Another low effort style of game. It's like 40% off for $1.19. Again, questionable why this game was approved. I suppose, once again, this is a game with no girls in schoolgirl outfits. Is that really what it just boils down to? It has some rogue employee decided that anybody in anything that looks like a Japanese schoolgirl outfit is not acceptable. What am I trying to save here? None of these really. Let's see, we have a game on Steam called iMaze.exe.2. Well, iMaze.exe2. This feels like this is part of the same series of games made from that releases the exact same game over and over called A Maze. This clearly is an achievement game with just different numbers. Like all the achievements are just different numbers, so you can use that to spell out something on your achievement showcase. Like, I don't know why that's as popular as it seems to be, but it does seem to be pretty popular. But basically this is garbage. It's discounted to 59 cents. I don't know why that gets allowed on Steam.
Smart moves. I can see.
Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And now we're getting the win streak bonus. Zoo Warlock seems to be pretty good. So we now need to kind of ride the wave until we lose, and then I can move over to like the mage to place more spell cards. In the meantime, we have a game on Steam called Glass Painting Winter Art, which is a slightly more polished idea of a click to paint by numbers game.
You asked
It
for
looks
it.
alright, but it's really not much of a game. $3.49 is quite a lot considering what, like even if there was 100 different variants of this, you're really just clicking by number to paint by number. These kind of coloring and painting things, frankly, should probably be limited to the real world instead of trying to make video game versions of them. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Corrupt the Priest. This might be interesting if there's a gameplay mechanic here to... Let's see. You're one of many servants of the Stark God, and your task is to possess the mind of the local archpriest. Archpriest? Is it a priest or is it an archbishop or in order to... this just looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter game though. It looks like there's no gameplay here. You're just walking around.
Almost out of time.
I kind of like the concept, but the implementation looks like garbage.
Job done.
I played that wrong. Corrupt the Priest is 30% off for $4.89. Yeah, it's not making it to the follow list. Wow, I'm surprised he killed that one. He just played the wrong strategy. Next, Gematsu has an article, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim Prologue has been rated in Korea. So that might mean that it is coming out somewhere else. Like, it's coming out for the PS4 according to the tags, and that's kind of all we know. And I don't remember this game enough to know what it's about or anything like that. Maybe there's a tag here that will tell me it's like a visual novel or something. Let's see. Sci-fi action, sci-fi adventure game. So it seems like it's still in development, but having a little bit of a troubled release, or a lack of, just a general lack of hype getting put behind it.
Chill out.
Let's go ahead and do that. We have a game on Steam over here called Little Comet, which seems to be a puzzle game of sorts where you're shooting yourself out around. Kind of like a pool game. The animation isn't great, but it's not terrible either. Let's see, how much do they want? $4.24. That's a little too expensive for this. Has this developer made anything else? Made a game called Giga Girl, which is a platformer. This is one of those cases where it feels like the developer is moving in the right direction to be making good games, but they're still kind of just making, right now, cell phone games. Level quality. This, that, and that. Yeah, Little Comet, not quite interesting enough to make it to the follow list. 15% off for $4.24 if you're interested. Next we have a game here called Big Crown Showdown, which looks like a polished like Mario Party runner, maybe Infinite Runner style of game, like mini games. It's 3D and it looks a little bit different than what I've seen otherwise, but it's multiplayer only, so that's gonna be a problem for me. Like, this might be good enough for $11.69 right now if you have 4 other people that you already own the game or willing to buy the game. I've seen a lot worse of the 4v4 style of games out there. This actually does look like it has quite a lot of polish to it, which isn't nice.
Your magic shall not save you.
There we go. +3 attack. +3 attack.
Free me! Free me!
There we go.
Job done.
Next we have a game on Steam called Telecube Nightmare. It looks like it's, well, you're teleporting a cube to collect things. Feels kind of like a cell phone game with a slightly different idea, but I don't like this gameplay mechanic. I really don't. It seems not well thought out. 40% off for $1.79. Yeah, this just looks boring. Doesn't feel like you're directly interacting in a scenario where you would really want to directly interact. Anyways, I got another win streak bonus, so we're still riding the wave. Yeah, these deck rebuilds, they're getting better and better. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Crocoland. Whatever that is. Seems to be snail related.
Light shall bring victory.
But it also seems like it might be a Super Meat Boy game or a cell phone game, and it just feels a little bit all over the place. Yeah, nothing here looks appealing, and it doesn't look like very well animated. $9.99 is way too expensive. Let's see, let's get rid of these. So I had already talked about this story, but we'll cover it again. GameIndustry.biz, Blizzard cancels Heroes of the Storm Global Championship. Devs to be reassigned elsewhere, but game will continue to receive live support. At least for the moment it will. Next week it may be different. Blizzard announces it will end all its esports endeavors around Heroes of the Storm. The Heroes Global Championship, the Collegiate League, and Heroes of the Dorm will not return in 2019. Blizzard is also moving developers off the game to work on unannounced projects and other live games. The question here is this a case of them being moved over to work on cell phone game projects, or work on like Diablo 3? Because that drastically changes how you feel about people being taken off Heroes of the Storm. Me in particular, since I don't care about Heroes of the Storm. Alright, so we gotta do this.
Nice to meet you.
Full development support for Heroes of the Storm will continue, though, with new heroes, events, and content. In a statement by President J. Allen Brack and Vice President Ray Gresky, Blizzard said it was, quote, setting up the game for long-term sustainability, and described it as a difficult decision. Like, I don't know how long-term sustainable
Your magic shall
Heroes of the
not
Storm
save
ever was. Wind Fury. And guess if I kill this guy, I can keep that one alive.
Chill out.
Job done.
Let's see. The decision may not come to a surprise to many, however, as Heroes of the Storm Global Championship actually saw a decline in viewership last year from 2017. According to the analytics group Esports Charts, overall viewers fell from 3 million, fell to 3 million from 3.5 million.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on? Chill out.
Damage.
Let's see. With peak concurrent viewers fell to 183,000, down from 191,000. So yeah, people not really interested in playing Heroes of the Storm. The question though, is this the way Overwatch is going to be too? Like, Overwatch doesn't really have
Magic shall not save
anything new to say about its game in a while. I guess there was the announcement of a new character that was coming,
Free me.
which is something, but
Command.
but I could see in a year or two Overwatch also getting abandoned because Fortnite ate Overwatch's lunch, or at least some of it. I could see it also being Hearthstone. Let's not insulate ourselves from reality here. We could very well apparently I have a new daily quest I need to work on, or I hold it for Monday. I have to come back out here because it's all blurry. The game's screwed up. Hopefully it will fix itself. And we don't have to play blurry for this whole time. The article continues, quote, "While we don't make these decisions lightly, we do look into the future excited about what decisions will mean for our live games and all the projects we have in the works," said Bracco and Gresco. Quote, "We appreciate all the hard-working developers and everyone in the Blizzard community and look forward to sharing many more epic game experiences with you in the future." So, yeah, Blizzard is quickly losing its luster, I would say. And it's probably not the first time, too. I think if you want to ask some true Blizzard, Activision Blizzard historians, there's probably been good sections of half a decade here, half a decade there, where Blizzard really wasn't making any great products or doing anything to really support its fan base. Let's see. Just keep on playing.
Nice to meet you.
Next we have a game on Steam that's called Tetris or something. It's Tetris upside down, it seems like. It's not visually appealing, whatever it is. Early access again, a game that does not need to be in early access or to be allowed to be in early access. Discounted for 66 cents.
Chill out.
Let's just end the turn and draw a card. If this is Explosive Trap, we'll just wait until everything has 3 health. And then I'll attack. Let's see. card. And we'll play this.
Why do you
And
call?
then we'll end the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Monkeys and Dragons, which looks like an old school LucasArts, like Curse of the Monkey Island point and click adventure game. So, yeah. I am a sucker for point and click games like this, so notice that it's just classified as an adventure game. It's $8.99 discounted right now. I'll put it on the follow list. We'll see what the reviews are. I certainly will have to make a question and an investigation into just like what games in particular that are point and click games are worth getting during the next sale. If any games are in that category at all. Oh, come on, game. Don't lock up on me.
Job's done.
There's no reason for Hearthstone to be locking up. Oh. Let me take a moment just to make sure my hard drive's not full. And let's see. Nope. Still have 100 gigabytes of space. Yeah, full 100 gigabytes of space to work with.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Do that.
Why do you call?
Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Slay the Spire releases January 23rd. If I lose here, then I guess then the streak is broken. It seems really weird that Slay the Spire is coming out January 23rd because I'm fairly certain that it was out before. It seems like it was an early access. The developers also announced that after Steam's 2018 winter sale, the price will increase, so if you're planning on buying or gifting the game, they should do so during the same sale while it's the cheapest. That's manipulative, certainly, but might be the right move.
Shiny, shiny, lovely loot.
Okay,
Almost out of time.
let's do this.
Free me. As you command.
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna suck my life down so much. Alright, so I'm gonna have to make sure to buy Slay the Spire, I guess, during the winter sale. Unless somebody wants to gift it to me.
Beast will not be tamed.
Alright, can I win this? I think he's playing a little too good over here. Okay, what can we do? We can play this. We can play this. Hope it doesn't discard that. Okay, it does. We can do that. We can do that. Next we have a game on Steam called NPCs. This is a troll game. Of course, NPCs being the new video game specific term to make fun of SJWs. I think it's kind of a bad idea and too memey to break up the description like that. Frankly, there might be slight variations in the definition between a standard SJW and what an NPC is, in the sense that NPCs are supposedly like the mainstream video game journalists who just have the exact same talking points over and over again, and they repeat it non-stop with as if there's no thought or human brain behind it, which, okay, yeah, that certainly seems like that's the case. And it doesn't have to specifically be journalists either. Let's play Paladin. It could be it could just be people on Twitter who spout the same things over and over again. One of the easiest ones of these slogans that that gets thrown about is that, like, racism is prejudice plus power, therefore anybody except for a white male can't be racist. And it's like, oh yeah, this is a extremely contrived, convenient idea you've come up with that does not fly in the face of reality. But I don't want to get into too many rants about NPCs or SJWs. And I don't, like, I've adopted the SJW. Like, it kind of works. I don't think I need to now stay ahead of the curve and adopt some other key phrases. Like, because then at a certain point that just makes me exactly the same thing that they claim NPCs are. If I'm just spouting counterpoints without thought or for no real reason, yeah, I'm kind of just as bad at that point if I start talking like that. Moving on, we have a game called My Super Defender Battle Santa Edition. I don't even know what this is. It says it's a massively multiplayer RPG, according to the tags. To me, it looks like it's something maybe like Clash Royale is maybe the idea, or a tower defense game. 40% off for $1.14. It's totally wrong. It says massively multiplayer on the tag, and there's no multiplayer in this at all. Whatever this is, it doesn't look interesting, and having a Santa Claus edition is just an indicator that you're trying some shenanigans. Let's do this. This. What is this one? See, if I death rattle this now, it just goes back in the deck, but I guess that's the best I can do as it is.
Speak your peace.
Not sure I'm gonna get all the daily quests done on screen. I may just end the stream and do some stuff off screen. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Balm Royale, which seems like you're playing as teddy bears, which is an interesting idea for a Bomberman clone. We haven't seen a Bomberman clone in a while. They come pretty infrequently. Early access for no reason, $4.24. Single player, multiplayer. I'll be exceedingly generous, I guess, and put this on the follow list in case I ever do want to play a Bomberman clone. This might be the one. Probably isn't. We'll probably pretty quickly see that there's problems with it.
I fight.
see. Next we have a game on Steam called Flying Aces Navy Pilot Simulator. Let's see. What does it look like? Looks pretty polished, but I don't like this interface here. And I don't like those frames, barely getting over 30 frames per second. You know, this is just one of those games that I'm not even really qualified to know how they work with. It looks like it's early access and VR for $20. Maybe that would be interesting, maybe it wouldn't. Like, I'd have to actually be in the pilot seat of one of these planes to know if anything's accurate. I'd have to see what it felt like. There's just a lot of things that I don't know about in this case. Just doing this.
No more take candles.
This.
Reporting for duty.
I fight.
So yeah, because I don't know these things because it's VR, I can easily just not put it on the follow list. TechRaptor has another article talking about a Newtaku game, Newtaku.net being the adult-only storefront that's way more interesting, I think, than the Epic Store or the Discord store or the Amazon Prime store. Anyways, they have a article called "Turn Your Head and Cough in Dr. Yuko's Sex Practice" now available on Newtaku. So they put out a new game pretty often, quite frequently. You know, PewDiePie just today put out a video as of the stream in which he played a Newtaku game, FAP CEO. So, like, more people are going for those. They're looking for sponsorship deals to get around the fact that they're not making any money from Steam anymore. Not Steam, but YouTube. Let's see. Next we have a game I can't show you called Gachi Muchi Manly Puzzle, I think. It's a bunch of terribly animated slide puzzles with strong muscly man, or it's supposed to be, although it seems like half of the pictures are kind of just random stolen art that I seriously doubt was licensed, because if it was licensed it wouldn't be so random in its artistic style. So we've seen them do it with the anime girls, now they're gonna do it with them with the gay crowd too, I suppose. Although I don't know if this really is targeting the gay crowd as much as this is just a blatant, like, troll.
The battle! The battle! For justice!
There we go. Yeah, this feels a lot more like a troll than an actual attempt at establishing a market or accessing a underserved market. TechRaptor has an article. Cave-Ins comes to early access. Miasma Cave's release date set for January 2019. The Miasma Cave release date has been announced for January 2019.
It's time.
Apparently that's the name of this game. Let me watch the trailer, but the thumbnail looks slightly interesting. But I don't know how much of this is just not a Minecraft clone. You're playing as some kind of lizard female. It's humanoid with a tail and spots on her sides.
Reporting for duty. Reporting for duty.
Let's see.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see. Gotta be real careful here. Yeah, I'm watching this trailer. It seems like it's a 3D explorer and mining game. It doesn't look particularly interesting. I was gonna open up its Steam page and put it on a fall list, but honestly, I'm just gonna wait until what's on Steam shows it to me. The character looks interesting, but the character could also just be a pre-bought asset.
Reporting for duty.
Am I ready to adapt my silver hand recruits?
Reporting for duty.
Can we do this? I basically need them to be poison. Or taunt, I guess taunt would work too.
For justice.
Yeah, I can't even really attack. So I'll leave it that alone. Next we have a game on Steam, Lucas the Third. So if I had known Lucas had they were gonna make a third game in this series, I would have covered Lucas 1 or the Lucas D make in the series. This has violence and nudity, so maybe I shouldn't be standing here. The general idea is it's The Omen, the movie series The Omen. I'm noticing that this game is mixed reviews. The Lucas series never really played amazingly well, but I do own the previous ones and I was gonna go through it. I don't think there's really too many people even working on this game, and it's surprising how fast they come out with things. In a weird way, I suppose Lucas is the Yandere simulator game that actually came out and actually somewhat succeeded. You play as this son of Satan child that has magical powers, and you have to walk around and manipulate scenarios and work towards eliminating certain people. Then usually after you've eliminated a certain number of people, that's kind of the end of the story, and it's weird that there was a second one that came out so quickly. It's weird that there was a third one that comes out so quickly. They're not amazingly quick though. December 13th. Let's see if we can see the times. December 13th for this one. The D-Make came out August, was that 2016? And then, yeah, Lucas 2 came out 2015, and Lucas 1 came out in 2012, so it's not like they're not putting effort into it. And then they made this D-Make, which is funny because it brings it down into a like point and click adventure style of game. So yeah, that will go to my wish list. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't just immediately be added to the wish list, even though it is reviewed mixed. Like it's probably buggy. It probably doesn't run as smoothly as one would like. I could see a reboot series if somebody bought the license and just tried to make it in Unreal a little bit better. Let's see if I can see what the complaints. Game is so buggy, I can't even progress. The storyline tells me to do something I ended up doing 5 objectives ago. Let's see, I can't even play it for some reason. It skips the cutscene. The screen is black until I mash the escape button several times. I'm not kidding when I say there's actually an actual scene where a KKK lynch mob hangs an African American guy. Do not buy or support this game. This is from somebody who received the game for free. I did see that cutscene in there too. But whatever. I mean, if that's the story they want to tell, they're not depicting them in the positive light, so I don't particularly have. I mean, they're not even depicting the KKK in an inaccurate light. Like, that is what they did, and since Lucas takes place in the past, this is just historical accuracy.
Put this apple on your head.
Let's see. So yeah, it looks like Lucas 3 is buggy. So wait a while. And maybe it'll get a little bit less buggy. Maybe not. I'm not sure if any of the previous versions ever got less buggy. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Pro Evolution Soccer 2019 Lite. This is from Konami, or known as PES, P-E-S, 2019 Lite. The Lite version is free to play, but I'm sure full of in-game purchases. Yep, microtransactions out the craziness. I don't think I'd ever spend any time on that.
Move quickly.
We need to attack. See what happens. Ah, it didn't trigger the trap. Interesting. TechRaptor has an article. Metro Exodus release date moved up a week. The title sequence has been revealed. So, when is the new release date? He said it was moved up a week. It was coming out February 22nd. It is now coming out February 15th.
Reporting for duty.
Repent! Repent!
Hey, catch!
Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Cold Fall, which looks like it might be a point-and-click adventure game, or it might just be a wandering around in the dark with retro pixel graphics. Seems like you're shooting and stabbing things and climbing and platforming. Puzzle exploration side-scroller game set during the Cold War. Seems like to me it suffers from dark screenshot syndrome terribly. And from what I can see here, I'm not seeing anything interesting. It's $2.69. I don't think that one makes it to the wish list. There we go.
To battle.
Repent! Repent!
Move quickly.
There we go. Next we have a game on Steam called 2084, which seems like it's almost certainly been named that to confuse with 2048. But that being said, this is rated positively. This looks animated amazingly good. Like, I have no idea what's going on. They're going into VR, and like shooting things. This looks like a real game. I was not expecting a real game here. At best, I was thinking it was a 2048 game. And the only other game this developer has ever made is something called The Padre, which looks interesting also.
I wonder.
Sounds like an anime character. And this came out February 22nd, 2018.
Move quickly.
And nobody's reviewed it either. So you know what? I'm gonna put both of these games on the follow list, and we'll see what happens.
Your magic shall not save you.
Like, I'm interested to see if 2084 is just flashy, or if it actually has some substance to it, or if it's just straight up a scam. The game is nothing what the trailer looks like. Okay. We want to do this, and then just do this,
Reporting for duty.
and then return. Here's a surprising game to come out. DayZ is now out on Steam, which is to say DayZ is out of early access on Steam. If anybody is still playing it, you can see it's mixed reviews over its lifetime, mixed reviews. Here you can play the game for free for 2 days, or you can buy it for $29.74 discounted. Like, I'm fairly certain DayZ is getting abandoned and has been abandoned for a while from the actual developers. I think the company, this is just random speculation on my part because I can't remember. I think the developers sold the game to a different company, or got bought out, or however you want to phrase that. Let's see, 3 health, divine shield.
Job's done.
So yeah, I wouldn't have played DayZ anyways because it's a multiplayer game, but it's 1.0. It feels a lot like the release, the 1.0 release of Kerbal Space Program, where the game really was not in any way feeling different or like the 1.0 release. And the same is true, like the developers of Kerbal Space Program had moved to their other situation. They had left the company or been fired. Something along that lines. There you go.
The battle! The battle!
There we go. Still need to play like 2 more spells and get 2 victories, so unless I got a quick victory, I think play 1 more spell and then move over to the Asian account. And so we really don't have a lot of news left, so I think when I'm done with the news, I'm just gonna wrap it up for today. We have a game on Steam called Shaverma Razshan Edition. I don't know what this is, what that name is supposed to be, if it's a troll name or an insult. But it looks like this is just Fruit Ninja, like a low effort Fruit Ninja, which honestly, I don't think I've ever seen a Fruit Ninja come to Steam. It's discounted to 59 cents though, so I guess that might be part of the reason why they're trying to, these low effort, very low effort developers are trying to get games out early right now, is because it might be so that the winter holiday comes out and then unsuspecting people buy their terrible games. Okay, start with this.
Reporting for duty. Job done.
Next, we have a game on Steam called Book of Demons, which says it's a hack and slash single player dungeon crawler. Let's see what it looks like. This might work as like a Diablo clone. It looks like there's a lot of cards and modifications. Being called a Book of Demons, I wonder if like, there's a different card for every demon. Does this game have microtransactions though? That's my question. $19.99 discounted. In-game purchases. Hmm. 202 Steam achievements seems a little fishy. But I'm willing to put this on the follow list. Book of Demons is a hack and slash deck building hybrid. It says.
The light dims.
The battle! The battle!
Like, it's a deck building hybrid in which you decide the length of quest. Wield magic cards instead of weapons and slay the armies of darkness in the dungeon below in the old cathedral. Save the terror-stricken Pepperverse from the clutches of the archdemon himself. Well, yeah, it's rated very positively right now with 2,000 reviews. I think Book of Demons deserves to be on the follow list. We'll see how it improves or if it improves. Let's see, do this.
Reporting for duty. The battle!
This.
The battle!
And this. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam called Godly Corp, which I don't know if this is a VR game or if this is just a co-op style game where you're just moving around tentacles and doing crazy things. It doesn't seem like it supports VR, so it does seems kind of like they're just doing some random actions. I don't think I trust this game developer to give me a joke game like that and it be good. Let's see, looking at the games that they've released in the past, none of them look high quality. Professional Fishing is seemingly the one that they're most proud of for Alright, let's do this.
Reporting for duty.
It says you're playing as Cthulhu. So yeah, I'm not gonna put that on the fall list. Let's see, hey, we have an actual visual novel here, although it's not tagged with anything. Adult.
Reporting for duty.
So we have a game called Bloody Chronicles New Cycle of Death. So violence, nonetheless. Hey, they're also not in schoolgirl outfits. So maybe that's really what it just boils down to.
Reporting for duty.
Not a schoolgirl outfit. Maybe it still qualifies. Even if, but again, not tagged with nudity or sexual content at all. Serial killer is on the loose. It says it's gonna have full audio. Interesting. Well, any full audio visual novel, I think needs to go to my wish list until I can decide if I'm gonna cover any visual novels or not. New Cycle of Death, though, makes me wonder if this studio has done
hello, Challenger.
has done any other games.
Hello, Challenger.
Let's just go ahead and squelch this one and play this.
For justice. Quickly.
Yeah, actually this developer has not made any other games. Interesting. but they seem to be set up to where they might. And it's a self-published from a Japanese studio, it seems like, and we'll start seeing more and more of that. Right. I need to cast a spell, so I want to do this.
I don't have enough mana for justice.
I'm gonna lose, of course. Let's see, next we have a game called Key G, which seems like it is a typing game where you have to move things in the order of the letters on the keyboard. Yeah, this looks terrible though. This looks like it completely would not be fun. 20% off for $3.99 for a very generic looking game. No thank you. You really can't sell a game on just a keyboard, mouse, keyboard control, keyboard only control. Next we have a game on Steam called Maze 4D. If this is actually the maze, I can't even see it. This looks like just total garbage too. It might be a legitimate effort to make a 4D maze, depending on whether a programmer actually knows how to make a 4D maze, or if anybody knows how to make a 4D maze. But visually, not appealing. $1.19 discounted. Do I have any spells?
The light protects me.
Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. The romance visual novel Tokyo School Life is coming to the Switch February 14th, 2019. A light-hearted love story. Let's see. This game was first released on Steam in 2015, so one assumes that it still is on Steam. So that February 14th, 2019 is coming to Steam. There we go. We got the spells done. I'll have to come back, I think, and play some off-screen to finish this daily quest of getting some warrior paladin victories. Playing off-screen is not exactly what I'd want to do. Let's move over to the Asian account. Come on, lunch. One thing I think we could say to Steam's credit right now is that at the very least this rogue employee, if it really is a rogue employee and not just a new evolution, he has not been able to remove any pre-existing games. So Tokyo School Life here is tag nudity and dating sim, and it's rated very positively. It came out in 2015. It's anime girls in schoolgirl outfits, whatever that means. So yeah, this game is coming to the Switch. It's probably not censored, coming to the Switch or anything like that. I think inherently also there's a problem with the tag nudity because there's just a big difference between nudity in a Japanese sense of, oh, they're in a public bath together, where that's very common and not seen as sexual at all. Also like in Europe where nudity is not seen as a big deal, or very sexual at all. Sometimes it's always a little sexual, but not that much, not a big deal. And then there's this is softcore pornography, or at least the scene is, or this one image is. We need a victory with the Shaman and Warlock, and then I need more victories. We could play Warlock though, and I probably could get 5 victories in Warlock if Z Warlock continues to work for me, like it has been. So I guess I'll double check to see if Tokyo School Life is on my wish list.
Gul'dan versus Valera.
But like, yeah,
Watch.
I'm not sure if just the fact that it comes to the Switch justifies that it's good enough to be on the wish list. Like, I'm still going around in circles in that idea. TechRaptor has an article somewhat covering this issue as it's continuing and growing. Steam, developers grapple with adult content. Earlier this year, Valve met with a wave of backlash after removing numerous adult games from Steam storefront. The discussion around the removals eventually culminated in a blog post from Valve, in which the company supposedly shifted their stance regarding sexual content on Steam. However, 6 months after that, after a pledge to allow anything on Steam except for illegal or trolling comment, Valve again finds itself at odds with developers and players over the company's ban on certain adult games from the Steam platform. Let's keep playing. Chill. On November 13th, the developer of a game called Imolicus, I-M-O-L-I-C-I-O-U-S, Yumi Creations posted on Twitter that Steam would not allow the visual novel to appear on the platform. Yumi Creations later received clarification from the Steam representative that the ban was due to the game containing content that exploits minors, which is again ridiculous. There are no minors, there are only cartoons.
Job's done.
Like, this is a ridiculous idea that could even be a justification in the first place in a video game. Unless it was a full motion video game with actual children in it being exploited. Likely referring to the explicit, the article continues, likely referring to the explicit content and young appearance of the game's main characters. Though games with strong sexual content are permitted on Steam, its rules and guidelines do not explicitly forbid content that exploits children in any way, and the content that no, its rules and guidelines do explicitly forbid content that exploits children in any way, which if I read that rule, I would have thought, oh, you mean microtransactions on kids designed for little kids, and content that violates the laws of any jurisdiction in which it will be available, which again, not sure any of these violate the laws of the jurisdictions they're available. Like, Valve would have to get more specific there. Let's see. Yumi Creations, however, disputes that the game includes exploitation of minors due to the in-game disclaimer stating that all the characters are over 18. In this particular case, it is also worth noting that that Imoculus also contained incestuous content and received similar bans from Mikandi and Nutaku for that reason. Interesting. So there was one that had incest in it, because I hadn't heard about this one game being banned. Although, again, while it may not be your thing, I don't think it's illegal in the United States. Still don't. And I think it's a ridiculous thing to be an issue when it's just cartoons. Like, because it's just a fictional story at that point. This article goes on November 14th, Mau Mau Discovery Team received a similar ban. And apparently this game was stopped from uploading an all ages version due to it being banned.
My hand is
See. The next we have an incident from developer Top Hat Studios for the first episode of a game called Cross Love, a visual novel, and on November 11th, and while it takes typically 3 to 5 business days for Valve to get back to them, the company's response did not come until December 4th, when it notified them that it could not be approved for release. So they not only didn't respond to them in the average amount of time, they still refused them. Steam representatives again citing child exploitation as the reason for the ban. So it seems like
Come, try your luck.
Let's see. Let's see. This article goes on and on, but let's see. The next game that was banned was a game called Hello Goodbye, sent to Valve for review, was entirely censored and contained no nudity or sexual content in the first place, and it still didn't get approved. Valve has remained silent in response to each ban and did not return our request for comment. This silence only exacerbates the problem in some developers' mind. In an email to TechRaptor on December 7th, Top Hat Studios state they've reached out to Valve 6 times since November 26th regarding Cross Love's review, and none were answered. Nico Nan Software has expressed similar frustration in a blog post, writing that Hello Goodbye's ban could be a mistake or just a knee-jerk reaction by some Steam rep, but the problem is that we have no way of knowing that because Valve is unwilling to communicate, which is beyond frustrating. The idea that there's no due process here, you can't appeal your decision, you can't have it be seen by somebody else, so that we know that it's not just the same potential rogue employee over and over again rejecting this. It could be that there literally is just like one person that looks at all the games that get approved on Steam, and they're just digging in their heels. TechRaptor's article goes on to continue, and this is kind of just the same thing I've been saying for the past few weeks, if not months. The same silence also does little to explain why each game was selected for removal from Steam, given the store already contains games featuring explicit content and girls of dubious ages. For some titles like Amokos, the reasoning is a bit more obvious. For others like Crosslove, maybe a bit less so. How Valve chose to define child exploitation on their own platform is of course up to them, but some argued that the definition was not clear enough, making it impossible to know what line these developers are crossing that other ones don't. Really is just a terrible, that is a terrible rule. If Valve has the answer, however, it hasn't shared it. This has apparently left developers in the dark about where they ran afoul, especially considering the library of questionable content that did pass Steam's reviews. In an email to TechRaptor, Top Hat Studios wrote, "We've gone over a ton of different hypotheses at this point, and in all honesty, we can't find a single consistency. Every time we think we find a smoking gun, we're able to find several games on Steam that have content that's even more exaggerated or worse than whatever's been banned in the recent batch." Let's see, let's go and play this. And let's go and play this. in return. This quote goes on, but I don't see a reason to read the entire quote. The article continues after that quote. With no means of appealing a ban and difficulty soliciting a response from Valve, developers of banned games have little choice but to go elsewhere to sell their products. Bigger contenders like Good Old Games and Humble don't allow adult content, so adult game devs' next option is to go to smaller storefronts with lighter content restrictions like Faku or DL Site, where the loss of Steam's expansive presence is more noticeable. When asked via email if they would ever consider abandoning Steam as a platform, Top Hat told TechRaptor, the issue is the combined sales and outreach of those non-Steam platforms.
In the light's name.
Someone call for the doctor.
Gotta make sure I do all this. The outreach of these non-Steam platforms are still heavily dwarfed by Steam, to the point where not putting stuff on Steam is such a massive but possible loss it's almost impossible to skip over putting titles on that site. I mean, if Valve comes out and says all anime is banned, then yeah, we may have no choice, but until then, we honestly don't have much of a choice. It's where the majority of the demographic is located. Sure, there's new sites for adult games. Faku's game section is fairly new, for example, but at best these sites can be supplementary to the massive exposure that Steam gives. The article goes on, there's lots of debate to be had about Steam's content restrictions, the company's transparency, lack thereof, regarding its review process, and the PC giant's influence on the industry, but hey, that's what the comment sections are for. Now, it's still important to applaud TechRaptor as the only storefront I've found, the only place, like, somewhat mainstream media journalist site that even covers this. Kotaku, Polygon, PC Gamer, Eurogamer, Giant Bomb, like, none of them are touching this story at all. They are intentionally not covering these stories because they were pushing before this happened for Steam to become a censored storefront at its own expense, and this is them getting what they want, so they're not going to report anything not until maybe Steam comes out and says all these games are banned and kicks off like all visual novels or all adult games again. But Steam already tried that and there was too big of a backlash. So yeah, I'm glad at least TechRaptor is covering it. It's basically me and TechRaptor right now. Everybody else is not talking about it at all. But it is also kind of a story that's just continuously going. Like there's kind of nothing that can be said about it because there's no new information. So until we can get some new information, we just don't know. Alright, moving on, we have a game on Steam called Grist, G-R-I-S, which I'm fairly certain I saw this. I'm not sure what it is though. It says it's an adventure with great atmosphere. I love this animation. Very unique animation style. I could see, I'd like to see like 4 or 5 games done really well with an animation style like this. It looks probably like it's a platformer, like, though it's probably not much more than just a a platformer, maybe slightly a racer game, maybe a little bit of a walking simulator. It doesn't seem like there's actually any gameplay here. It's $16.99, is that what it says? Can we see? Yeah, it seems like you're just gonna walk through places and listen to music and platform, and that's it. Looks good. Kind of barely a game, sure, but it doesn't look bad or anything, so I'm willing to put that on the follow list. Is this guy gonna take the victory? Because if he isn't, I'm gonna just concede. I've come across this game called Dollhouse. It's just called Dollhouse. I don't think it is out yet, but somebody was tweeting about it for the PlayStation 4. Maybe it'll come back to the US by a different name, but it has an intriguing looking cover, I suppose. That's about all I can say about it. So, let's see, if I was to search Google for Dollhouse, I'm either going to, well, interesting, there's a music video called Dollhouse. I was thinking I would get the TV series Dollhouse, yeah, that's the next one, and then there's a bunch of YouTube videos and ads for Dollhouses, so I have to search a Dollhouse video game. Not great SEO optimization. Now I'm on a page that wants me to sign in, log in. Interesting. Like, it's an old login server thing too. It's not like a modern, you type in the code and it gets sent to a server via the web page manipulating it. It just is direct. You have to type in a username and password. I'm not sure if that's any less secure than what most websites do. I did hear a story, this is not video game related, but of a incompetent IT person who literally kept the administrative passwords in a password text files on the web server. So all you had to do was type in the URL and you could get the passwords and take like total control of the entire network. Eventually the guy got fired for incompetence, but took a while. Next we have a game on Steam called Trials of Olympus. It's a match 3 game. Where am I to stick with match 3 games? Well, it's kind of a Candy Crush clone. It doesn't look terrible. I'll put it on the follow list. $5.99 discounted is way too expensive, certainly, but maybe I would get really generous one day or get it at a very good discount. Techraptor has another article. Guide your royalty in the Princess Guide coming to the West next year. Is the Princess Guide going to be the Western name for 4 princesses? Because I think it was called something different in Japan. Originally revealed in Japan as Your 4 Knight Princess Training Story, so that they simplified it to English just to call it Princess Guide. All right. and it's coming out March 26th next year. Interesting. I'm not really sure if it's a direct continuation of the idea of like Princess Maker as a series, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't remember. GameIndustry.biz has an article, since I'm just rambling about that. Detroit Become Human hits 2 million sales. This PS4 exclusive remains Quantic Dream's fastest selling games to date. I suppose if you look at it that way, then that's a good amount of sales. I was not looking at it that way, frankly. It sounded like to me that for as long as Detroit Become Human has been out, 2 million seems really low. That being said, perhaps there's because it's a PS4 exclusive and because it wasn't highly reviewed or anything, and it's not really much of a game, I guess that kind of makes sense. This GameIndustry.biz article is like 6 sentences long.
Gul'dan versus Maiev.
None can escape my fury.
Your soul shall
I still kind of want Quantic Dream to do their thing, though. Like, I'd hate to see the idea of a smoothly animated movie, kind of like a Telltale game, coming to video games. I think Until Dawn was good. I think the Telltale games were sometimes good. I think the way the Quantic Dreams games look are pretty good. Like, I'd hate to see everybody fall to just a
Hail, friend.
less visually appealing style like Overwatch. Overwatch looks great, but it's a little cartoony. Sometimes you just need some realistic graphics. But then sometimes you get these realistic graphics that are just too hardcore, and they still don't feel very realistic. I would say the Tomb Raider is a great example of that, where Lara Croft may look realistic, but she's so covered in mud and cuts and torn tears on her clothing. It's like, well, it's theoretically realistic, but it's not bright and visually appealing. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. A game called Ellie, E-L-L-I, launches January 10th, 2019. It's a colorful platformer. Let's see. It's from a developer called Bandana Kid.
Why do you call?
Do I want to discard a card? I think that's alright. Let's see. It's coming to the Nintendo Switch only. And I'm not sure it's coming to the West, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did. Next we have a game on Steam called Indiana Boy. This is a Game Boy looking game, so a Lemon Lover would probably love it. But I particularly still hate these simplistic grayscale pixels. I was actually surprised. I looked up at the resolution of the original Game Boy. I thought it was like 74 by 74 pixels. It's actually about 192 to 200 pixels, which is more than I thought.
So many possibilities.
Does that really mean much? Not really, but I was shortchanging it. That being said, these still look just awful to me. looks repetitive and boring. 99 cents. Not a terrible price to start off with undiscounted, but yep, does not look good. In that case, for that game, it didn't look like it was particularly much of a game in the first place, so. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Lost Lands: Mistakes of the Past, which says it's an adventure game, but it looks to me like it's a hidden object game, if I was to guess. Or, you know, even if it's not really a hidden object game, it's gonna be on that level of a hidden object game where you get these sort of good looking cutscene at the very beginning, and then you're not really looking at anything like that at all when you're actually playing the game. Let's see.
So many possibilities.
Can we see a hidden object element? If they were to make a game like this and it actually had no hidden object scene at all, it really was just an adventure game, I'd be interested in covering that. And
So
it
many
seems like that's the way this is. So, is that $6.99? Yes, I think so. The price is cheaper to start off with. So, I'm willing to give that one more of a chance. Let's see. Come over here and play. As we're trying to wrap up. Yeah, so I'll put Lost Lands: Mistakes of the Past on the follow list and see what people do. See, next we have a game called My 1/6 Lover, which is tagged sexual content and nudity, so I won't show it. Again,
Well played.
doesn't seem like they're in any schoolgirl outfits, so the animation style on this is a little rough. For this, it says it's an RPG, but everything I'm seeing tells me it's a visual novel. This might be a cheap Chinese or Western knockoff.
So
Like
many
it seems like it's lacking in quality. Yeah, it's in English and simplified Chinese, so my senses are still kind of honed towards that. Just play that and see what happens. So yeah, I don't see a reason. My 1/6 Lover is $1.19.
A clever concoction.
Discounted right now. If it doesn't have English full audio, I'm not willing to put it on the follow list. Okay. Can I do anything to... I can play this to do damage. I can do this. I can do this in a turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Yorubai Racing, which looks awful. It looks like it's a cell phone game that's been ported and just a ton of blank space on either side of the screen. Seems to be the exact same straight road for a racing game. I'm fairly certain I saw a game like this just a couple days ago too that also looked terrible. $1.99. Here. Not quality. We'll do this. And then we'll heal ourselves. I only have a couple more things to cover. Gametsu has an article, Robotics Notes Value, Japanese box art. Let's see. Guess I really don't need to cover this. I don't know what Robotics Notes is. Robotics Notes Dash is due out for the PS4 and Switch January 31st. And they're just talking about the box art, and that's all that article was. I don't know if that one's coming to the West. Gametsu has another article. Onimusha Warlords remastered title song announced. New TV spot and footage announced, and again, not really information. Onimusha Warlords is due out for the PS4, Xbox One, and Switch December 20th in Japan, and the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on January 15th in North America and Europe. We still are running into scenarios where the PC version is not really getting published in Japan, which might be an issue, might not. Let's go ahead and do this. Return. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Clouded. It seems like it's like a 5 minutes of memory, find clues. Ooh, it's like the movie 7 where you have to write on your arm. Interesting. No, not the movie 7. What? I've forgotten what the name of that movie was, where you only could remember things and the entire movie played backwards every time he forgot. $2.54 discounted. Clouded looks like it might be an interesting idea. This still needs to go through the follow list though, and just so we know, like, is this a real game or is this kind of just a joke game? We're still trying to.
Your magic shall not save you.
Do I want to do this or this?
Mushroom power!
We already talked about this article. Game of Sutra has the same article. Blizzard pulls devs off Heroes of the Storm and cuts its esports support. Next we have a game on Steam called Dissolution, which is a free-to-play game and it's already getting mixed reviews. Action adventure game. So it looks like it's a first-person shooter, free-to-play action adventure game. I don't know how you'd really do that. Really have no details here, and it's like very early, so it patch 0.0.5.7. So I'll put this on the follow list, but seriously doubt it would win. Hey, I got a charge so I can win. And I don't think we need to go into another game, so I'm gonna kind of break the streak to wrap up this recording in this stream. Like, I would need to win 3 more games. Let's see. TechRaptor has the Humble WB game, offers a free game and heavy discounts. So if you want Lego The Hobbit until the Humble store is offering it for free until December 15th, or with the rest of the Warner Brothers games 75% off. I'm not sure. I guess I could buy some of the Warner Brothers games and some of the Lego games I don't have maybe slightly discounted, but I imagine it. I don't imagine that would really work too well for me since I own so many of them. And then we have this game on Steam called Paper Bark, which says it's a casual, family-friendly adventure. Seems like you're probably playing as some kind of, is that a rhinoceros or some kind of animal, and you're looking for animals. It looks interesting. Looks like a cool idea. So maybe not at $8.99, but I'll put it on the follow list and see what people have to say. And then that just takes me to the Humble store myself instead of TechRaptor talking about it. If you want the Vegas Pro software, if that is still an industry standard that you use, you could get it at the Humble Bundle store, but I'm not sure it really is. As for game bundles, there's 3 days left on the Team 17 bundle, and the Yogscast Jingle Jam 2019 is still happening, but I'm not super interested in that. Frankly, didn't look like any of those games are good. And then I'm now on my Twitter feed, so I wanted to just quickly scroll down my Twitter feed and see in the last 3 hours, has there any major news happened? Almost certainly there hasn't. There's a couple of new games that came out that we can say for Monday. And is there anything else? Let's see, Gamasutra Pokemon Go creator Niantic close to a 3.9 billion valuation. That's a lot of money. Let's see. Gearbox Official posts a nativity scene made out of claptraps. I'm just scrolling down here, and we'll be done here in a second because I really don't even think that there was anything new. The end of 2018 Steam Wishlist Cleanup, episode 14, games starting with the letter M, aired 4 hours ago on my channel. Let's check those out if you've got nothing better to do. And yeah, I'm done scrolling. Like that was it. So your standard Friday stream, pretty good, didn't take too long. Unfortunately, I have extra work I have to do. I guess I could come and try and play the solo adventure mode for like any number of solo adventures, but I might as well just play ranked to get these 3 victories, and then I think I need 1 more victory on the European account. That's going to be it for the stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.